Hi beautiful people, I am so excited. We are back with another video. I know I say that a lot, but actually this one I think is gonna be a really good one. There's a vision board behind me and I have a lot to say. So I turned 27 and I think it's a really interesting age. I was reading a few blog posts how women when they turn 27, what they've kind of just been contemplating and reflecting on. I've been reflecting on my own year as well, and it's really interesting. I have a lot to share. I have some lessons that I've learned. I have a list in front of me that I'm gonna be using, and yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoy it. If you do, please give it a like and subscribe because it really does support my channel. And I want to see more of you here. I want to create a community where we can share and just create space for each other to learn, which is what I'm always looking for. I think that's why Instagram, Facebook started, based on the community approach. So YouTube can be that without all the drama and without everything else. So let's create a beautiful space together. So as I mentioned, I turned 27, and the blogs that I've been kind of reading just out of curiosity to see what other people, especially other women, have to say, were kind of confusing, if I have to be honest. Some of it I could relate to really well. Some of it I was kind of laughing because people were saying that 27 is such an interesting age because you're not kind of like 20 in your early 20s, and like when you surpass 26 and 25, you're expected now to kind of become the adult or start doing the adulting right and stuff like that. But you know, everyone has different experiences. Everyone will go through some different life journey and life lessons, and I'm just here to share mine and what I've learned and what I'm taking on board and what I just want to build upon a little bit more. And I think the idea that we've been sold for so long is that everything is supposed to be perfect and you're supposed to have everything figured out by 30. I was guilty of that, but I am certain that timing is important. But regardless of age, things will come to you in a way that are supposed to come to you. So, okay. So I have a list here, as I told you, because I'm prepared. And I think the first one that I've learned, especially this year, and by the way, by listening to Glennon Doyle, new podcast called We Can Do Hard Things. I love her so much. I talked about her book Untamed, how it changed my perspective and my life. And her podcast is as insightful. It's almost like an extension of the book. It's almost like again, she created this space in which you feel seeing you, and she is vulnerable and she's raw and she doesn't shy away from topics that conventional podcasts or whatever you want to call it, conventional spaces, do kind of stay away from. She goes through those taboo subjects right in, and I like that so much. Okay, speaking of space, speaking of creating space, my first lesson number one, is taking up a space. As a woman, I think we've been conditioned for so long to take as little space as possible, whether it's with your size, how we've been conditioned to always believe that we are supposed to be as skinny as possible as you can be. So physically take up as little space as you can. And also with your personality, with your character, and with how you carry yourself. And I really kind of am seeing it now, especially when I was in my early 20s, that I didn't want to take up space. I didn't want to offend anyone. I didn't want to say something inappropriate. I didn't want to say something wrong. But if you think about it, these are taking up space as a person will allow you to create those experiences, will allow you to say wrong things so you can make mistakes. It is inevitable for you as a woman to create a space and take as much space as you need to feel seen, to feel heard, to have your needs being communicated. And I think we don't do that as women. We don't do that enough, including myself, but I'm working on it. And now I'm aware of it. That awareness changes everything, because I'm not afraid to stand up for myself anymore. I'm not afraid to say something that is a very important part of my value system. I'm not afraid to speak up for or against something just because it's gonna offend someone. So having, there was a fly. Did you see the fly on the camera? Funny. Taking up space, I think is very important. Lesson number 2 I've learned is that nobody, my darling, nobody, no matter how many movies you watch, I'm telling you, nobody completes you. It's another lie we've been sold and we've been marketed, may I say, from a very young age, is that you're gonna find your Prince Charming or princess, you know, and there's going to be one person that is going to give you everything and is supposed to complete you. I could not disagree more, but it again took me a long time to understand that I am the one who is supposed to give myself all the things that I was looking for in other people, because that's how insecurity comes, right? That's how inadequacy comes. If you are looking for something outside of yourself and you feel like you don't have the actual fundamental need of you thinking that you don't have something, means that you will be so insecure and try to grasp for thin air and look for these qualities in other people, like security. If you don't feel a sense of security in your own life, in who you are, you're going to look for it in other people, in men, in women, in partners, in sexual partners, and you will never be satisfied, because the only person who can fulfill that in yourself is moi, myself. Thank you very much. Okay, third one is really good as well. You can always change your mind, okay? No matter what kind of decision you made, what promises you made to other people, if you feel it's not resonating with you anymore, you can always change your mind, my darling. And it's not gonna mean that you are rude or you don't keep your promises or you, whatever excuse you want to give me again. I realized that my personal space, my personal energy, the way I feel and carry myself is the most important thing. I'm not telling you cancel dates and coffee dates and, meetups with your girlfriend just because, you're just like foolish is gonna change your mind. And like, oh, I'm not really feeling it. I'm really talking about decisions that, for example, impact your work, relationship, impact what kind of person you want to be. If who you're meeting don't resonate with who you're becoming and who you are anymore, you can always change your mind. Of course, and you should be able to. Why wouldn't you want to change your mind? Duh. Again, it takes time, to unlearn that because I thought I was the good person, I was the good girl, I was the nice one, that I didn't want to offend anyone. But it was when I started making those decisions in my life that allowed me to then start learning these things, because I was doing it in practice, which really helped me to then push myself a little further and do some more important decisions that I maybe wouldn't feel as comfortable before. Okay. Which leads us to, it's okay to let people go. Let them go. Let them go. It's okay to let people go. Friends, toxic family members, that might be a bit more difficult. Partners, people who you don't vibe with anymore, complainers. Yeah, again, I said toxic people, people who don't want the best for you. It's okay to let them go. And you don't have to explain sometimes. I feel like we women, especially I definitely was trying to always explain myself, which starts, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I can't do this anymore, blah, blah, blah. I stopped saying that. I make my point, I'm very clear. But usually with friendships, I think it really depends, right? If you've had a friend for a very long time and you guys keep changing, of course, people grow apart, that's okay. There is a point where you have to recognize if this person is serving you in your life. If no, as hard as it can be, you can let them go. Or with family members, sometimes that can be more difficult. Set clear boundaries. If those boundaries are being overstepped times and times again, you gonna have to make decisions based on that. What serves you the best and the most at this particular moment in your life, okay? Okay, start investing. I know this is a topic that I am pretty sure is not being talked about among women as much. I've definitely seen improvement, okay? But I think investing as early as you can in things like index funds, portfolios, and putting your money in a place where it can grow, it's so essential. And we still see it as this very white male dominated area because we don't know what we're doing. Do your research, honey. There's a lot of amazing investment portfolios like Wealthify that I'm personally using that can help you with whatever needs you have as an investor. You know, I'm definitely a beginner, but I've seen amazing growth of the money that I've invested over the years. And yeah, I mean, that it's a smart thing to do at the end of the day, isn't it? And if you want to learn more about investing, you can look at the giants of investing, which are Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, who I think are my heroes. And they always talk about index funds and always talk about investing should not be gambling, especially if you don't know what you're doing, you know? Investing is not like lottery, which a lot of people think. That's a different conversation if people are doing that. But if you're smart and if you do your research and if you diversify your portfolio, which just means that you put small amount of money in companies, in a lot of different companies, you might lose a little bit of money, but it will balance itself out in the long term because you are putting money in different places as well. I'm not a professional investor, just speaking from my experience. Do your research, okay? Stop apologizing for embracing all part of your femininity. Okay, this is really interesting. I live in the UK now, okay? And things change, fashion change, you know, what does it mean to be a woman changes because people have different opinions about it. But you as a woman have this amazing capacity to be a goddess and a princess and a queen, whatever you want to call it, just intertwine in this like amazing human being that you have. I think feminine energy is so powerful and so beautiful, and because it has been oppressed and repressed for so long, we now think and have to feel, that's just my opinion, that we need to keep repressing that and still act like the male energy that we do have in ourselves. But I think the man energy is a bit more dominating, power, whatever you want to call it, okay? Not saying that women are not powerful, just the two energies, yin and yang, feminine and masculine, okay? It took me so long to just be okay with being feminine, what the society, you know, sees as girly, or, you know, having my own personal style. This is I want to be very clear, this is a very subjective thing, okay? For every woman, being a woman is so complex and it cannot be reduced to your looks, to how you look, to how you dress. It cannot be redressed to just those things. And for so long, that's why we went wrong, because we were reducing what does it mean to be a woman to just those things, to just those characteristics. And I do not agree with that. But I was on my own journey to figure out what it means to be a woman for me. And I started embracing all parts of that person, of that woman that I am. And I feel amazing. And I got to know myself more. If you keep accepting every single part of you, of course you're going to feel amazing, because you're going to start loving those parts that you thought were not as desirable. And that even comes with wanting to be desirable for the opposite sex. It's not about that anymore if you want to be desirable and intimate with yourself, in your thoughts, with how you want to represent yourself, with who you want to become in this world. That's what I meant. Okay. Spend less time on social media. Guilty AF, okay? I don't know about you guys, this pandemic and everything that's been going on, just this hyper connectedness and always wanting to know what is going on and like the new stats and what are people talking about, has left me tired, you guys. And I know that I do so much better when I spend less time on social media. Controversial topic, I know, whatever. I'm recording a YouTube video, so that's also a social media platform. But I think if your social media use becomes unintentional, you can go into a spiral. And if I do spend time on social media, I want it to be intentional time. Yes, I occasionally still am in a habit of just keep like doom scrolling, they call it now. But if I go on Instagram or Facebook, it's because I want to look something up. I want to just see what my friends are doing, the selective group of people that I want to see. I'm recording this YouTube video intentionally. I am trying to reduce it because I know how much life is out there that we are missing. And sometimes it makes me sad because I grew up without social media, I grew up without internet, I grew up without computer until I was like 15 or 16 or something like that. I'm a millennial, so you remember both, without internet and with internet. But what's really interesting is that sometimes I go back to the moments in my mind and I just remember the freedom that you had to be bored, to figure out what you want to do, to be creative, to come up with different projects and solutions. And our mind is on autopilot most of the time. And if we just keep scrolling and don't stop and just be aware where we are, it's just so easy for life to just get passed by. And I do not want to do that. So that's what I've learned kind of going to my 27, and that's kind of like my promise to myself as well. Okay, now make books your best friend. I love books. I am very lucky that I got into habit to read books very early. I used to go to these recital competitions where you have to memorize poetry or prose and recite it, and I loved it. I think that's where my confidence to speak to audience, even if I embarrass myself, come from, because you just have to be put on spot. And I think with reading comes a great sense of knowing that there are so many opinions out there in the world where if you open a book, it's just at your fingerprints. And that is beautiful and amazing and something that everyone should explore. And speaking of poetry, actually, I started reading poetry and I want to read more poems. I fall in love with the Sufi mystic Rumi. I definitely want to explore poetry more. So if you guys have any recommendations for good poetry books, please let me know. And yeah, I think reading is great. Expands your mind, your experience, your perspective, and the whole life experience. It's more beautiful with books, I think. Okay, now build your own personal style. Again, as I was talking about, wherever you are, of course you're influenced. We are influenced as a human being by so many different things, by people, by what you see, what you read. But I think now when I'm 27 and I'm nearing 30s, I am okay and comfortable with not copying other people. I can be inspired by someone, but I now know what looks good on me, what colors look good on me, what I want to wear. And if I don't want to prescribe to what is going on right now with this style, I don't have to do that. And I don't have to feel guilty. I don't have to feel pressured. I don't have to do that because I am building my own personal style, which is a bit more minimalist. I'm kind of into French, European style. I like elegance and classiness and fashion that is less is more. And that's just who I am, and I'm embracing it. And again, you can call it's a part of my femininity as well. And the last one that we have here is Saturn Return is coming. Did you hear any more terrifying forwards in your life? Okay, I talked about Saturn Return in my previous episodes, but just to briefly say, in astrology, and I'm not a professional, I'm just enthusiast, I would say. In astrology, there is this time in your life, your late 20s, where Saturn returns to the original position, to when you were born, how the planets were aligned, and Saturn takes around 28 years to do a full return. And when the Saturn returns, apparently a lot of people go through a reckoning. It's about stop dreaming about all these things and putting things into action. There's a lot of deconstructing. There is a lot of, apparently I'm saying, because I've heard some stories and I'm very passionate and it looks really interesting. Reckoning, just deconstructing old ideas and just getting in terms and to what you want to do. A lot of people describe Saturn return as a clarity, a really clarity check of who you want to be in this world and what you want to do. And I'm 27 now, and it seems like my Saturn return, I'm already in my Saturn return. It might take 2 years, it might take 3 years, but I think it's really interesting because I do feel different. It could be placebo, but I do feel more of myself, and I cannot wait to let go of even more things that don't serve me anymore, including relationships. So that is for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do let me know what lessons you've learned and which one you like the best. Thank you.